it might look distorted, but for the user, it's not. And I'll show you what that means. So let me first draw a 90 FOV shot. So the same door is now looks like it's smaller. And of course, our scientific explain why things get smaller as well. All right, because they're changing. Well, the ratio is more like this. Let me draw this as accurate as I can. Right, we don't want to change the ratio of the room. This door will be now over here. All right, maybe you can see even more doors. There'll be a door over here. Right? So it's the same shot, but how come this works? Well, this works because if you take the cone of vision and put it over here, you see this, you're seeing the viewer who is playing this game on a 30-inch monitor at 2 feet away from his eyes is seeing the same thing this person on the console is seeing. You see that? It's the same. The cone of vision is the same. So even though the images out here are distorted, they act as peripheral vision. They're not in focus. So to an outsider who's watching this on a YouTube video, for example, you're watching someone playing a game, they're sitting over here. You might look, how could you play that? The thing looks completely warped. To the viewer, they're not. Their eye can only focus here, right? If they look out here, they also see it's distorted. But when you play games, you generally don't look here. You will move your camera to point to here. Hopefully that makes sense. So the viewer who's sitting in front of this, let me draw this with a different color. All right, so this is the back of someone's head, for example, who's sitting in front of a computer screen. Let's put it here, and his eyeball is here. You can see his cone of vision is 60 degrees. His peripheral is comfortable, right? This creates a very natural setting, so the person who's using this setup here will not get motion sick, versus the one over here where you're so zoomed in, their eyes no longer have peripheral, right? Of course, there's other causes of motion sickness. The other one being that you're moving around, but you can see the environment, therefore you don't get sick. Now, some people don't suffer from this. There's a number of reasons. One, their brain just doesn't account for this. They don't care about it, right? Some people are not as sensitive to this at all. Actually, majority of people are not, but some are. But it could also due to the monitor size. For example, instead of a 30-inch monitor, what if they use a 19-inch? Right? Let's draw it here. A 19-inch screen, and this 19-inch screen is further from the viewer, for example. Who knows, right? Maybe they're sitting 4 feet apart. But you see, when they do this, the peripheral vision works again, right? It's not as good as a television, but at least they have this much peripheral vision in the natural world. And the screen is still somewhat in the 60-degree view, right? It's not as good as this again, but it still feels okay. Therefore, you might not get motion sick because you have enough peripheral left. But when you get to this situation here, where it's all being blocked, right, you get a lot of motion sick. So anyways, this is sort of explains FOV in games. So this is why console games generally have a 55 to a 60-degree FOV. This is a console, right? And PCs generally have somewhere between 90 to 95. I think this became quite known when the game Half-Life 2 came out, and they set their FOV, I believe, as 65 default. For a PC game, and you start seeing a lot of people start to get nauseous because during this time period is also when people started buying 23-inch monitors or much bigger screens. Because remember, back in the days of PC, 15-inch and 17-inch was the common PC screen size. If you guys think about that, right? Nowadays, the common size is almost 23 or 19 or something much bigger, right? So when this FOV doesn't get increased, but the screen size gets increased, you get this result. So anyways, hopefully this clears some stuff up and also give you an idea of how we teach here at the school, how we apply perspective in the real world. But quickly, something I forgot is this scene here has not changed, right? Some people look at this and go, oh, the person got smaller or you're smaller. Actually, if you look at this from a top view, let me draw this from a new layer here. This little room that we're looking at, here's the door. Here's the other door, right? Let me draw this door a little bigger, something like this, right? There's another door here and another door here, right? The first camera, if you look at it, what it sees is this. Somewhere here. You guys see that? This is the cone of the camera. So if I draw out the cone, the camera is something like, it's not a perfect cone because I need to fit this into this shot here, but hopefully you guys see what I'm talking about here. Whoops. Draw down a new layer. That's the cone of that camera, and that's a 60-degree camera because we are talking about a 3D game here, and the programmers or the artists set this themselves. Now the second room has not changed. Your distance from the room does not go further back. You are in the exact same location. The thing they change is they turn this lens now into a 95-degree lens. And what that does is starts seeing a lot more of the room. Actually, this door will be somewhere over here to be accurate to this drawing here. Right? So now the cone of vision for this is much bigger. So the lens is seeing, for example, let me cut this part off but I think you guys know what I'm talking about here. This lens is like this, right? Again, this is drawn with a little bit of this part of the lens cut off just to fit it into the screen. Right? So you're seeing a 90-degree, so this actually shoots out at, oops, whoa, big color blotch there. Anyways, you're seeing a 90-degree cone go out this way versus a 60 cone going this way. But the physical location have not changed at all for the viewer, right? And this is because the 60-degree cone camera, if it's a physical camera, looks something like this, the lens, right? So it sees 60 degrees versus a camera that can see 90 degrees. Then you're gonna have a rounder lens, which looks more like, for example, maybe not that much, maybe about this much. This lens will see more, right? Versus human eye is pretty much similar to this lens here, right? And that's what the console guys are trying to convey, right? So anyways, that explains that. So for a game, you're not physically moving the player when you change the FOV down or up. You're just increasing the amount of information to see. And the reason why things get smaller is because of simple perspective and math. For here, you have this much information to fit into the television screen. Here, you have this much information to fit into television. More information, same screen size. Obviously, things get smaller, right? It's just common math is perspective. So okay, hopefully this helps, and just a little bonus thing to show you guys how we teach here at the FCD school, and also for those of you who are interested in how FOV works in games, this should give you a good clue. So anyways, thanks guys for watching. I'll see you guys next week. Bye bye.